rolling. Let's see if we pop up anywhere.
Rolling.
This chat window up because I'm sure somebody's gonna have a question or something.
Oh, do you see there's the Mob Crush. Mob Crush has got a
Yeah,
all-in-one
that's the one
comment
I'm using.
window.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a really cool one.
cool. Yeah, for sure. I will say I had some issue with it once before. Let me see if I don't. Oh, you went live on your
Yes.
page. Okay, so not on your personal. Let me see if it's live. Oh, it is. Look at that. Okay. Oh, but it looks like the live stream. Yeah, the live stream just.
That was weird.
Oh shit! I gotta turn that off.
We're getting this. We're there.
Get in frame.
Boom. Done. I don't know. That was weird. It made you like really big, and then when I fixed it, it made you really small. That's not a knock on you.
That's great.
That's a knock on these.
It's just a high resolution video I'm sending you. That's all.
Oh look, don't boy! I got my fancy light. Look at that. What?
Ooh.
What? You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's enough.
What I did is it's funny. It looks like it's bright in here, but it's actually dark enough that I can take a nap in here comfortably. But the camera adjusts so it makes it look like I'm illuminated.
You're using a web. It looks like you set up professional lighting. It's like.
Yeah. No, I literally just turned I closed all the blinds.
That's it.
And it's dark. That's it.
Cool. Well, hey, dude, I appreciate you doing this. When we were talking last night, as you were helping me and my old dumbass get this figured out, because I did the first live stream that I wanted to do with Jerry Rocha. Nothing. So I got it recorded. But so I appreciate you. But in the context of that, we were talking, and you said you were starting to look at some of the stuff that the government is offering through the small business. I guess is it the SBA, but it's through the bailout package?
So yeah, it's an expansion of the SBA loan programs, and so what they did is that they did a few things, and so obviously they gave a lot of money to corporations and to Wall Street. That was their first priority. But then after that, they worked on getting small businesses and people helped out. Obviously, everybody knows there's like $1,200 coming through the IRS. Unless you're back on child support, then you don't deserve money, and you're going to get even deeper in the hole. But the $1,200 they're saying, oh, that might take 20 weeks. Also, if you haven't done your taxes in the last couple of years, you're probably not going to get that money either. So.
Do your taxes.
Yeah, and they they had to fight for that for a minute because the Republicans were for a minute been like, well, isn't $1,200 a lot for poor people? Let's maybe give them less if they're really poor. So luckily they got it. We should all be getting $1,200, which is at least a little helpful.
Video from Bernie where he roasted the entire Senate.
Yeah. Playing into it, it's like, oh well, the essential workers. Hey, they're still at work. They don't need money. But so then on top of that, though, people who are out of work, people in my industry, service industry workers, bartenders, obviously, anybody who works at a bar that doesn't have food. You have a lot of restaurants that are offering pickup, but even they had to lay off, half their workers in most cases. For people who are laid off and claim unemployment, they added $600 nationally across the board to be added on to every state unemployment benefit. So what we did before the bill even passed is we laid everybody off. So we said, hey, go claim unemployment. We literally can't pay you. We have no revenue. And if you want us to be a thing when we reopen, 2, 3, 4, 5, who knows how many months out, then we have to not bleed our cash reserves dry. And so we laid everybody off, laid myself off. Said, hey, everybody apply for unemployment. Now, hopefully, with that extra $600, we'll all be making pretty good money, honestly. I'll be making more money than I make when we're open, which is kind of bizarre. But the addition, so obviously, unemployment benefits only last something like 9 weeks or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, well, you can fact check that, but they last for a certain amount of time. I believe that unemployment benefits, if you claim, most of the benefits are backdated to March 15th because that is when they close. That's when officially they made everybody close businesses and stuff. And so uh, unemployment benefits backdated March 15th should run out in June. And there is a Paycheck Protection Program, which the bill that they passed earmarked $350 billion to go to small businesses, small business loans that are forgivable loans if the small business spends that money on keeping their employees. So in theory, I instead of laying people off, I should keep my employees. And what it offers is it offers 2 months 2 months worth of paying your employees out using a loan that is valued at 250% of a month's typical payroll expenses. You can also spend them on stuff like mortgage interest, on rent, on insurance, on other operational expenses that in theory you still have to pay even if you're not open. And that's, I guess, where they get the extra 50%. Um, and
So they're
so
essentially giving you
a
two
lot of
and a
people.
half months of payroll at 250%. I mean, basically,
So, well, they're giving you. So, what you do is first of all, you just apply for the loan,
and that's on the
right?
government's
And this
website.
application,
Is it through the SBA website?
it's not on the.
Oh,
Actually, it's not. So, this is the distinction: is there's actually another loan that you can apply for. There's a disaster relief loan that is $10,000 that should come very quickly. It should come within a week. You can apply for that. That's on the SBA website. If you go look up SBA disaster relief loan, $10,000, you just put in how much you make, your company's EIN, stuff like that. Um, I don't know what the qualifications are for that. I'm expecting to get that, but I don't know.
but
I
that's a
applied for
quick
that
loan.
yesterday or the day. That should be a quick loan, yeah. Then the other loan, and this is the Paycheck Protection Program. It is for companies with 500 fewer than 500 employees, and this also applies. Apparently, it's gig workers and contractors. Applications for contractors, people who get 1099s, they'll be able to apply for this loan as well. But those loans will open up on the 10th. Actual LLCs and corporations, those applications open up today, and you need to apply using your bank or a lender. If for some reason you don't have a bank account,
What are you doing in
then
business?
I guess you'd go to like Cabbage or some lending service. Yeah, I mean, if you have a business, you probably have a bank account, and you probably need to probably go onto your bank's website right now. They probably have a placeholder that's like, hey, sometime today. That's like we have BBVA, and currently it's like sometime today. We expect something. We anticipate the Paycheck Protection Program applications being available sometime today. You can find the application as handed out by the government. Um, where did I find that? And I can maybe give a link.
Yeah.
I'll figure that out. I mean, I'll give you the link so you can put them in the description or something, or put them in the comments. But so the Paycheck Protection Program, in theory, right, allows you to maintain your workforce for 2 months. However, to be realistic, we're not going to be open for longer than 2 months. And currently, all of my employees have got onto unemployment. The Paycheck Protection Program allows you to get the loan forgiveness if you rehire all your staff by like June 28th, I think it is, which is right after unemployment benefits run out. The way it's written, it's like if you rehire them in a timely manner. So you could also, if you haven't laid off your employees yet, um, you could enroll in the Paycheck Protection Program, operate for the next 2 months, and then if this is still going on, well, I guess we're a half a month into it, so operate for the next month and a half, paying everybody. Like maybe you have continued paying your employees because you have enough money, like Mark Cuban is doing. I think he has more than 500 employees, so he might not qualify for this. But he actually is specifically part of the reason that yesterday I was thinking about just rolling with unemployment and then trying to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program later. However, they earmarked $350 billion, and when you do the math with the rough estimates of how many small businesses are in the states and how much their payroll expenses are, they're probably going to run out of this money
So it's
in like
kind
a
of first
month.
come, first
If
serve.
not, it's first come, first serve, best we can tell. And the forgiveness comes later once they figure out that you qualify for forgiveness. And in the forgiveness terms, you can hire your employees back on before that deadline in late June. So the strategy that I'm going with that I've read up that makes the most sense is let your employees run on unemployment until those benefits run out. Right now, though, apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, get that money, sit on it. When you rehire them, then you can operate for 2 months and pay them out as they were typically paid out previously, using that, and then you can submit the information that you did that in order to get that
That's
forgiveness on that
yeah.
loan. If for some reason you don't end up paying your employees out, and the thing is, the amount of loan forgiveness is based on the percentage of employees that you retain. The idea being that if I reopen but none of my employees come back, there's a lot of extra cost with me hiring new people and stuff like that. And the government's like, oh, from a market efficiency perspective, we want businesses to keep their same staff that are already trained, that are already, that are out of work currently right now. They're like, well, I mean, theoretically, probably they want you to keep them off unemployment, but sort of loophole, you can both let them benefit from unemployment services, because if I don't open up, by September, and I mean that's if you're like we're a live music and comedy venue, and if there's a potential for a second wave of infections and stuff like that, events with 300 people in a room might not be a thing.
Well, you think?
So
I mean, for a while at least, right? Because I think the big thing is going
for
to
a
have to
while,
be
yeah. I mean, not
yeah,
forever. Of course, they have
vaccines and
treatments. Hopefully they knock out some treat. Yeah, and what I've read is like treatments are more likely
okay.
than vaccines, and once you find like mechanisms of action and stuff like that. But regardless, I'm not a medical professional, but
That's why I had to put on the description of
but
this.
yeah,
We're not a lawyer. You're not a lawyer. I'm not a
yeah,
lawyer.
not a lawyer
We're not lawyers.
either. Just literally have all the time in the world to read stuff and listen to podcasts right now. So, but if you're a small business owner, or even and a lot of people I think have done, maybe you have a sole proprietorship or something like that. I believe you can look into this, and you should look into this, because you can maintain your own pay grade, even if technically your unemployment goes longer. Like, so maybe you have have your own LLC and you've been paying yourself salary, and so then you laid yourself off, and then you're claiming unemployment right now. Go ahead and apply for this loan today. As soon as the portal opens up, apply for it today. Get to be first in line so that you can receive the loan, and then rehire yourself come June and those unemployment benefits run out.
The one other thing that was interesting to me that you mentioned was the fact that because you said that if you're an LLC or I guess it's not sole proprietor necessarily.
I would have to check on that.
Because I think as sole proprietors, that would be like if I'm a full-time comic that just gets 1099s from clubs all over the country. I'm probably not registered as a business, so I'm probably a sole proprietor. So I do find it interesting, and I think it's good that the government has taken into account the fact that there are people out there that aren't businesses but still make money.
Right. So contractors and self-employed individuals can start applying on April 10th.
Okay.
So if you're a corporate entity, currently your application date is today. They are figuring out, I guess, the extenuating stuff for April 10th for gig workers, economy workers, stuff like that, where if you're filing a 1099, you'll be able to actually do that as well. So, and I think that's also where it's a little bit confusing, because I think they're trying to make sure that they're both trying to make sure that there's not overlap, but also that people aren't excluded. So I'm supposed to report in my payroll 1099 expenses for regular workers so that I can pay those 1099 workers out. However, it should not be for services. So if it's a contractor I bring on, so like I pay my production manager a salary, but then I also pay him based on how many individual events he does. So he gets 1099 for that additional pay, and I believe that pay is included in my April 3rd submission and would be included in my payroll expenses. but not on the April 10th deadline. But so that's comics that we pay would apply on April 10th if they are operating as, you know. So hopefully you can get paid for not doing comedy, which is cool.
Some comics should be paid to not do comedy. As you know, you hire some of them, or not hire them, but they come to the club, right?
Yeah, you know, I say, hey, you want to be a bartender? You need to quit doing comedy
Listen,
then.
one
Sorry.
thing to point out is there are comics that have jobs, and so and again, you and I aren't lawyers or experts, but I have a day job. I do radio. I'm not applying for that loan because that's not my sole source of income. If you work cruise ships as a comic and you're not 1099, they take out taxes and give you benefits. Again, you probably are just gonna have to file unemployment, and you can't do this through the as a business, so to speak.
Yeah, I would employment, but I wouldn't be surprised if you could still apply for the Paycheck Protection Program because you're trying
as an
to.
employee. So if you're employed by the cruise line as a comic,
Oh, I meant for people like you.
yeah, no, well, no, because I'm still working.
I feel like you might still be able to
Oh,
apply
really?
for this
Oh, well, I'll look into that.
because it's just a loan. Like as far as I know, there's no like if one of my employees has an extra job, it doesn't invalidate this for me, right? And if you're an employee of your own company, essentially, that's something you need to look
Okay.
into for sure. And that would also come on the April 10th date. But
So you're saying
I mean,
if you have a
I don't know why you would
okay,
try.
right? Because you're saying yeah, because I mean, I would say not half of my income comes from comedy, but let's just say a third of it. Then I lost that third of my income, so I
Yeah,
should qualify in some way to recoup some of that money. Okay, that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah,
But yeah, I didn't. But that's that for sure. Unemployment. If you're still drawing a check from somewhere, you can't do that. Okay.
yeah,
Um,
right.
somebody had a question for you. My fiance's dad owns a small LLC, and she filed for aid. If I'm a self-contractor, 1099, can I file?
So that's where I was talking about the distinction where I believe they're trying to not have overlap. So if they if the employer is applying for aid and they're applying for the Paycheck Protection Program themselves, and in that Paycheck Protection Program they are including your wages, then you should not apply separately. If they are not including your wages, then you should apply separately. I would probably because the contractor date is the 10th. I would probably see if they can apply and include your wages. It's not supposed to be for services, but if you have a so again if you offer a service to other employers as well, and so then you're a handyman or something like that, then you probably need to apply on your own. But if they're your only employer, then they probably would prefer for them to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, including expenses
So
to you.
okay, yeah. So again, comics, we work at 25, 30 clubs.
You work at a bunch of places. You probably
Right.
need to
If you
apply on your
were
own.
a project manager that was 1099 for a company, and you only did projects for that company, you should at least talk to that company.
Yeah.
Hey, are you going to include me in your payroll protection?
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely check that they're doing it, because if they're
Then
not
you
for some
should.
reason, then maybe go and try to figure it out on your own. But suggest to them that they should. Also let them know if for some reason they're not already looking into this. Again, the enrollment starts today. You need to go look at your bank's website, talk to your lender. They should have a portal open sometime today
Okay.
where you can
So you're
apply.
going to send me the link. So what I'll do is, if you watch this or you're watching live or whatever, at some point on Facebook or YouTube, it's on Twitch too, but I don't know.
And
Yeah,
people can
my
also,
channel.
you can Google Paycheck Protection Program. There's a lot of information about basically every bank website has its own information. So you probably need to go to your
Oh,
bank's
okay.
website to know where because you have to go through your bank.
Gotcha.
Um, and banks are only going to offer the loans to current customers. So again, hopefully you already have a bank account.
Well, unless you're a pimp. Pimps don't have bank account. I was thinking of a business that
Pimps,
wouldn't have a bank
pimps
account. Pimps.
And actually, one. So specifically for the disaster loan assistance, one of the things you have to check
I'm not
off
a
is
pimp.
that applicant does not present live performances of a prurient
What?
sexual nature or derive directly or indirectly more than de minimis gross revenue through the sale of products or services or the presentation of any depictions or displays of a prurient sexual
Strippers are
nature.
screwed.
So
Oh no.
strippers cannot these. Um, yeah,
Oh,
porn. I would guess that like our friends in the burlesque industry might be SOL
really?
here, like which is this is that's that's what happens when you have Republican lawmakers. Yeah, so
Wow.
uh, people still need to support their cam girls because they're not going to get these loans.
Show them titties.
That's,
Wow.
don't do that,
I don't
Barry.
want to ruin my
You don't want to invalidate your loan plan.
screw myself out of money. Dude, that's crazy. I
Uh-uh.
didn't realize that they had that in the language. Yeah, you're right though. That definitely sounds like some conservative was like, "Wait."
That they want to personally help them pay their bills, and they were like, well, look, I'm gonna remain your sugar daddy. The
All
government's
these
not giving it to
Republicans are
you.
like, "I'm
You
giving
gotta
them
come
bitches
here.
enough money on the side that no one knows about." I don't think so. That's outstanding, dude.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for doing this. I think this was really helpful.
Yeah,
We
no, it didn't take too long. Hopefully there's information there. And again, everybody needs to go out and do their own research. But if you have a corporation or if you're a gig worker or anything, you should be looking into this right now because they're going to run out of money for it. Hopefully they add more to it, and they probably will, but it'll probably only complicate the process if you weren't in line today
so
or
just
on the
get
10th.
online and get it going now. And if you're a 1099 and you don't own a
Yeah.
business, but all your money comes from elsewhere,
From one business, talk
yeah.
to that one business, make sure they include you on it and that they're applying today. If you work for multiple people and get 1099s from all of them, your application day is on the 10th. But get ready, get your information all together so that you can submit it. You're gonna need if you're an LLC, you're gonna need that payroll information for the last 12 months so that they can come up with an average of your payroll expense so that they can
Oh, so
figure
they
out
are
how much
doing
of
an
a loan
average
you
of the 12
qualify
months.
for.
Okay.
They are it is your average monthly payroll expense times 250%.
Of the last 12 months. Not
And
is
it
it
does
now
include
is it based on fiscal year? Is it based on a tax year? Do you know?
I think it's based on tax front and service industry workers. The loan does include reported tips. So you won't get those cash tips that you didn't report to the government, but you will get what you report in tips typically. So when I run a payroll at the Seeker Group, it averages like $9,000. But I also report that they probably made an extra three, four, or $5,000 in tips, and so that report will inform on how much they actually lend us. So it may actually be twice a month. I mean, it may actually be $30,000 a month instead of $20,000 a month, and so then they'll end up giving me the what is that $75,000 instead of uh,
Yeah. I mean,
45.
and every little bit's gonna help if you can do that. If you all right, dude. Thank you so much, Stephen. I really appreciate it, y'all. Steve at Stephen Brandau on Twitter, right?
Yeah,
Don't hit him
yeah.
up with all your business questions, but if you need a link or
No,
whatever,
I mean,
I'm sure he'll share it.
I just sit on my hands on it. It's that or Warzone. So
Dude, thank you so much. We're gonna schedule this again too, just to hang out and not talk business.
yeah, yeah. Have a fun
Exactly.
talk
We'll do
instead of
this
this.
sometime at the end of April.
But time is of the
Yeah.
essence. So
Appreciate
everybody
you,
go
buddy.
apply.